The wine glass felt heavy in Cameron's hand. He kept it still and looked at his husband across the table and waited to see if Joshua would take it back. Joshua did not take it back. He took another sip of his drink and looked around the table and laughed. "He really insists on holding on to the barista job," Joshua said. "But he is going back to school soon." 6 of the people at that table heard it. Cameron felt them not look at him. The conversation moved. The dinner went on. The man across from Cameron made a small, polite sound and turned his face toward Joshua to ask about something else. Cameron set the wine glass down. He used both hands. "I'll refresh the coffee," he said to no one, and stood and walked to the kitchen. He turned the faucet on so the sound would cover the room behind him. He watched the lake through the window. He waited to feel something. Nothing came. Then he heard the elevator. The guests going down. The door closing. Footsteps behind him on the open floor of the condo. Slowing. Stopping. "Cameron?" He did not turn around. "That wasn't what I meant." Before we dive in, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's story. The high school they met in was small. One lunch line. You knew the people in your grade by face, if not by name. Cameron was 16 the day Joshua sat down across from him in the cafeteria with a tray that held a hamburger bun and a slice of American cheese and nothing else. Cameron looked at the tray. He looked at the boy. He pushed half his sandwich across the table without saying anything, and Joshua picked it up and ate it. Joshua's father worked at the feed mill. Joshua's mother cleaned offices at night. Cameron's grandmother worked in the cafeteria where they ate, and she pretended not to know Cameron when she served him because Cameron had asked her to, and she pretended not to know Joshua because Joshua's mouth had a small set to it, that her grandson's mouth got too when someone looked at him with pity. After that first lunch, she started leaving an extra wrapped sandwich in Cameron's locker most weeks, and Cameron started splitting it without being asked. They were friends for a year before they were anything else. They walked home from school together because they lived 2 streets apart. They did homework at Cameron's grandmother's kitchen table because Joshua's father drank, and Joshua's mother slept during the day, and the house was not safe in either direction. Cameron's grandmother fed them both and did not ask questions. She put a plate down in front of Joshua identical to the plate she put down in front of Cameron, and Joshua had figured out by then that she was the second adult who had ever looked at him without measuring what he was costing the room. The first kiss happened at the closed gas station at the edge of town. They were 17. Cameron had just gotten his license, and the car was a hand-me-down hatchback from a cousin, and the heater did not work. Joshua had a job at the station that summer and was finishing his shift, and Cameron had driven over to give him a ride home. Joshua came out in his red vest and got into the passenger seat and looked at Cameron without saying anything, and then he said, "Can I?" "Can you what?" "Kiss you." Cameron's face went hot. He said, "Yes." It was a bad kiss. Their teeth bumped. Joshua's hand was shaking. Cameron's hand was on the steering wheel and stayed there because he had forgotten he could move it. When Joshua pulled back, he was looking at the dashboard and not at Cameron. He said, Okay, good." Cameron laughed. He could not help it. Joshua looked at him and the small set went out of his mouth and he laughed too. They kissed again. It was better the second time. They presented late. Cameron presented Omega at 19 and Joshua presented Alpha at 20, both later than most, both quiet about it. Cameron's grandmother held him through the first heat and made him drink water and brought him a hot pad for his back and said, "Well, that is what you are then. So we keep going." Joshua's first rut he spent locked in his bedroom with a fan pointed at the door and a list of math problems he had pulled off the internet, because no one had told him what else to do. He came out 3 days later, thinner and wild around the eyes, and Cameron met him on the back porch of the duplex and put a hand on the back of his neck, and Joshua cried hard against Cameron's shoulder. Cameron did not say anything. He held him. They bonded at 22. They had been in Austin for 2 years by then. Joshua was halfway through his undergrad on scholarship, and Cameron was working 3 jobs: the gas station overnight, the warehouse on weekends, the diner shifts in between. Joshua had wanted to wait until he could afford a ring. Cameron had said one night in their first apartment, "I am not waiting for you to have money to bond me. I am not. We are not those people." What people? The kind who wait. What if it's bad? What if it's bad? What if I do it wrong? I have not done this before. Joshua, I have known you since I was 16. You are not going to do it wrong. He did not do it wrong. Cameron's neck had carried the mark every day since. That first apartment. No air conditioning, a fan running around the clock plugged into an extension cord that was probably a fire risk. Cameron would come home from the gas station shift before sunrise and let himself in quietly so he would not wake Joshua, and Joshua would already be awake, already at the kitchen counter with a mug of instant coffee, already in his shoes, on his way out to class. Joshua kissed Cameron's forehead first every morning. Always. On the bad days, the days Cameron's hands hurt from gripping a register and his back hurt from lifting boxes, that forehead kiss was enough. The night Joshua got into the MBA program, they shared a grocery store cupcake on the fire escape. They cut it in half with a butter knife. Joshua said, "It is us against the world, Cam. It's us against the world. Always. Always. Even when we are rich. Especially when we are rich." He had laughed. Joshua had laughed. They had kissed with frosting on their mouths, and Joshua had put the second half of the cupcake into Cameron's mouth, and they had laughed loud enough that the upstairs neighbor banged on the floor. That was a long time ago. Now he was standing at this sink in this condo with a faucet running and his hands were not shaking. Joshua was still standing somewhere behind him. "Cameron, will you please look at me?" Cameron dried his hands on the dish towel. He folded the dish towel and put it back on the counter. He turned around. His husband was leaning against the low wall that separated the kitchen from the dining room. His tie was loosened. His top button was undone. The scent of him was the public one, the one he wore at work. The cold slate with the matchstick clamped down underneath. "That wasn't what I meant," Joshua said again. "What did you mean?" "I just meant that you were thinking about going back and I wanted them to know that you have plans." "I am not thinking about going back." Joshua's mouth did the small set. Cameron watched it do the small set and felt nothing. "Cam, I am not thinking about going back, Joshua. I have not been thinking about going back for 4 years. You have been the one thinking about it. I have been telling you I am not thinking about it. And tonight at our table in front of 6 of your colleagues, you told them I am thinking about it like it was a fact, like it was something we had decided. We have not decided that. I have not decided that. It was a thing to say. Why was it a thing to say? Because he was going to ask you where you went to school. I was going to tell him. And then he was going to ask you what you do. I did tell him what I do, Joshua. I told him I am a barista at the roastery. I told him that first, before he asked about school. Did you not hear me say that? Joshua did not answer. Cameron watched his husband's face do the thing it did when Joshua was building a sentence and discarding it and building another one. He had loved that face since he was 16. He loved it now. "Are you embarrassed of me?" Cameron said. "That is not. Are you embarrassed of me? That is not what this is." "Then tell me what this is." Joshua pushed himself off the wall. He took a step into the kitchen. The matchstick warmth came up under the slate for half a second, sharp where he was cornered, and then he pulled it back down. Cameron watched him do it. He had been watching him do it for years and had been letting it slide. "At work," Joshua said. "At work, Cam, people look at things in a certain way." "What things?" "Education. Where you went. What you do. And what do those people think when they find out your husband did not finish college and pours coffee for a living?" "Cameron. Say it, Joshua. Say what they think." "They think." Joshua stopped. The matchstick was back, sharper this time, and the slate behind it had gone thin. They think that I married someone who is not at my level. They think it. I do not think it. They think it. And what do you do when they think it? What? What do you do, Joshua, when they think it? Do you correct them? Do you tell them about your husband who worked 3 jobs for 5 years so you could finish school? Do you tell them that he is the best green coffee buyer in the city and the roastery owner has been trying to make him a partner for 6 months? Do you tell them that? Or do you smile and let them think it and then come home and tell me to go back to school? Joshua did not speak. The kitchen did not have anywhere for him to look that did not have Cameron in it. So, that is why? Cameron said. For 4 years. Every time you said you should think about it, you should look into the program at the community college, you should let me pay for the online thing. Every time. That is why. Cameron, no. That is why. I want you to have things. I have things. I want you to have more things. I do not want more things. I want you to come home from work and not be ashamed of me. I want you to come home from your dinner and have introduced me to your colleagues as the man who put you through school, not as the man who is going back to school. I want you to be on my side. I am on your side. Joshua, I just stood at this sink for 20 minutes. Joshua looked at him. He looked at his husband in the kitchen of the condo he had bought them, and the matchstick in his scent was as climbing now in spite of him, and Cameron could see him understand what he had done, and could see him be unable to undo it. I am sorry, Joshua said. For which part? For the joke. For which part, Joshua? For the joke. For making it a joke. I should not have. I had been drinking. I was. You were performing for them? I was. You were embarrassed of me in front of them. Cam. You were. I was scared of what they would think. That is the same thing. The condo was very quiet. Cameron could hear his own breathing, and faintly, the matchstick scraping at the slate. I am going to sleep in the other room tonight, Cameron said. Cam. Do not say my name like that. Do not. I am going to sleep in the other room tonight. Please do not knock on the door. He walked past Joshua. His husband did not reach for him. Joshua, who had reached for him every night since they were 17, did not reach for him. He stood in the middle of the kitchen and let Cameron walk past. Cameron closed the door of the second bedroom behind him. He sat down on the edge of the bed. He did not turn the light on. He waited for the feeling to come, and the feeling did not come. He had been numb to it for a while and had not let himself notice. He did not sleep. At some point in the night, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. He let it buzz. After a while, it stopped and a notification chimed. The message said only, I love you. Cameron read it 3 times. He did not answer. He turned the phone face down. He closed his eyes. He did not sleep. The next morning, Joshua had already left for the office when Cameron came out of the second bedroom. There was a note on the kitchen counter in Joshua's hand that said only, Coffee is in the press. I will see you tonight. The press held coffee Joshua had ground himself, which Joshua never did because he did not like the noise of the grinder. Cameron looked at the press for a minute, and then he poured the coffee out into the sink and made his own. He went to work. The roastery on East 6th was a long brick storefront with a roller door at the back. Cameron had started there on a temp shift covering for someone who had quit without notice. He had walked in expecting to be there for 2 weeks. He had been there for years. The owner was a man named Hayes who had inherited the roastery from his uncle and had nearly run it into the ground his first year. Cameron had taught him. Over a few years, Hayes had stopped pretending he was the one running the place and had started saying openly that Cameron was. 6 months ago, Hayes had asked Cameron to come into the office at the back of the roastery, and he had laid a piece of paper on the desk, and he had said, I want you to buy in. I have wanted you to buy in for 2 years, and I have been a coward about asking you. I am asking you now. The piece of paper had a number on it. The number was reasonable. Hayes was being reasonable. He was looking at Cameron across the desk like a man who saw him as the person who ran the place. Joshua had not looked at him that way in 4 years. Cameron had said he needed to think about it. Hayes had said, "Take your time. I am not going to hand it to anyone else. It is yours when you want it." Cameron had not told Joshua about the offer. He had told himself he was going to. He had told himself he was waiting for the right moment. The right moment had not come, because every moment that looked like the right moment was also a moment in which Joshua mentioned the community college program or sent Cameron a link to an online degree, or, once, 2 months ago, came home and said, "I was talking to Corey at work and his husband finished his BA in 18 months at this online thing. You should look at it." Cameron had said, "Okay." Cameron had not looked at it. He had not told Joshua about Hayes' offer because he already knew what Joshua would say. "That is great, Cam, but is that really what you want? You could be doing so much more," said kindly. Joshua said everything kindly, and Cameron would smile and say, "You are right, I will think about it," and the offer would sit on Hayes' desk for another 6 months. That morning, the morning after the dinner, Cameron walked into the roastery before sunrise, and the roller door was already up, and Hayes was at the roaster pulling a sample. The smell of the fresh batch caught him as he walked in. He set his bag down behind the counter. "Morning," Hayes said. "Morning. You look like hell." "I had a long night." "You want to talk about it?" "No." "Okay." Hayes did not push. He pulled the sample off the roaster, ground it, brewed it in the little ceramic dripper he kept by the bar, and set 1 cup in front of Cameron without saying anything. Cameron drank it. "This is good," Cameron said. "You picked it." "I know. You always pick the good ones." Cameron looked at his coffee. He looked at Hayes. Hayes was not looking at him. Hayes was wiping down the counter in the manner he had when he had said something on purpose and was waiting to see if it would land. "Hayes." "Yeah." "Is the offer still on the table?" Hayes stopped wiping. He set the rag down. He looked at Cameron, careful, like he had been waiting to be asked. "It is still on the table." "Can I think about it for 1 more week?" "You can think about it for a year, Cameron. I told you. It is yours when you want it." 1 week. 1 week. Cameron nodded. He drank the rest of the coffee. He went and started his shift. He did not call Joshua. By the end of the week, the silence in the condo had become a thing with weight. Cameron and Joshua slept in different rooms. They passed each other in the kitchen in the mornings. Joshua did not kiss Cameron's forehead. Cameron did not lean toward him to be kissed. The matchstick in Joshua's scent, suppressed all day at work, was rising at the edges by the time he got home, and Cameron could feel it in the apartment like a low fever before you take your temperature. A few nights later, Joshua came home with a paper bag. He set it on the counter. He did not say what was in it. Cameron looked in the bag. It was takeout from the place on South Lamar they had gone to on their first night in Austin, the one Joshua had not taken him to in 2 years. "Why did you get this?" Cameron said. "I thought." "What?" "I thought we could eat." "I am not hungry." "Cam." "I am not hungry, Joshua." "I paid off the credit card." "What?" "The credit card. The one with the balance on it from the renovation. I paid it off this afternoon, the whole thing." Cameron stood in the kitchen and looked at his husband, and his husband looked back at him, hopeful. "Joshua." "Yes." "Stop trying to buy yourself out of this." Joshua's face did not move. It did not move at first. Then it did, and what came across it was not the small set of his mouth. It was something rawer and uglier, and Cameron looked at it and thought, "Finally. Finally, that is the part of you that is actually in this room." "You are not even sorry," Cameron said. "You are tired of me being upset." "That is not." "It is. It is, Joshua. You are not sorry for what you said. You are sorry that I am still angry about it. There is a difference, and you are old enough to know what the difference is. We worked 3 jobs in this city, and you do not get to forget how to be honest with me because you have a corner office now. I worked too, Cam. I was at the copy center. I know you were at the copy center. You make it sound like I did not work. I do not make it sound like that. I have never said that. You said it Sunday. I said it because you said I had been holding it over you for 10 years. I said it because you were trying to make me feel small about the choice I made when I was 19 years old. I have never held it over you. I have never said the words I gave that up for you out loud in this marriage. I have not. You said them for me. You said them in the kitchen on Sunday night. And you said them so you would not have to say the thing you actually meant, which is that you are embarrassed of me. I am not. You are. Joshua, you are. And the worst part is not even that you are. The worst part is that you have been embarrassed of me for 2 years at least, maybe 4, and I let myself not see it because seeing it would have meant making a decision I was not ready to make. So we have been doing this thing where you push me to be different, and I pretend I do not notice you pushing, and we have called that a marriage. And it is not. It is not. It has not been for a long time. Joshua sat down at the counter. He sat down hard. The matchstick in his scent had broken through, and the kitchen smelled like a struck match in a closed room, and Cameron's own scent had risen in response without his permission. The air between them was thick with both of them. I do not know how to do this, Joshua said. Neither do I. They stood there. The takeout bag was on the counter between them. Cameron did not eat it. Joshua did not eat it. Late that night, Cameron went into the second bedroom. Deep in the night, his phone buzzed. The message said only, "I am trying." He did not answer. The next week, Cameron walked into the roastery one afternoon, and Hayes was at the back office, and Cameron knocked on the open door. "Hey," Hayes said, "I want to sign." Hayes looked up. He did not say anything for a second. Then he said, "Okay. Okay, Cameron. Let me get the paperwork." It took an hour. Hayes had a lawyer he used for everything, and the lawyer had the paperwork drafted already because Hayes had been holding it ready for 6 months. Cameron read it. The numbers were fair. The buy-in was structured so Cameron could pay it down out of his share of profits. He did not need anyone's help to do this. He signed. He used the pen Hayes gave him. "Welcome to the business, partner," Hayes said. Cameron looked at him. He smiled. It was the first real smile in a while. "Thank you," he said. "You earned it. I know." He walked out of the roastery and across East 6th and down to the bridge over Lady Bird Lake. He stopped in the middle. He put his hands on the railing and looked at the water. He stayed there until he was done standing there. He walked home. The condo was empty. Joshua was working late. Cameron sat at the kitchen counter in the same chair Joshua had sat in a few nights before, and he waited. The matchstick was faint, only the trace of it left in the room. Cameron drank a glass of water. He waited. Joshua came home late. "You are still up," he said. "I am still up. Have you eaten?" "No." "Cam." "Joshua, I need to tell you something." Joshua set his bag down. He took his coat off. He hung the coat on the hook by the door and turned to look at Cameron, and the public scent was still on him, the careful, clean version, and Cameron saw it and thought, he has been wearing that all day, even thinking about coming home. "I signed with Hayes today," Cameron said. "I am a partner at the roastery. I signed the paperwork this afternoon. I wanted to tell you face to face." Joshua did not move. He did not move at all. Then, quietly, in the voice he used in negotiations when he was being careful, he said, "Without talking to me." Cameron watched his husband across the kitchen understand what he had just said and be unable to unsay it. "Joshua? No. Cam, I meant. I am done asking you to be proud of me," Cameron said. "I am done. I told you because it is a courtesy and because I love you. I did not ask you because I knew what you would say, and I was right, and you just said it. That is not your decision. That has not been your decision for a long time. That is not what I meant. I am leaving." The word sat in the room. Joshua heard it and did not say anything for a second. "What?" "I am leaving the condo, not the marriage. I am not making a decision about the marriage yet. But I am leaving the condo. I am going to stay somewhere else for a while. I cannot keep doing this in this apartment. I cannot keep looking at this view of the lake every morning and thinking about who we were when we shared a cupcake. I cannot. Cam, I love you. I love you. I have loved you since I was 16. I am not making a decision about that. I am making a decision about this apartment and about being in a room with you while you keep trying to handle me. I am going to go somewhere else for a while, and I am going to do my work, and I am going to sleep. And then I am going to figure out what comes next. Where? Off East Riverside. I found a place this morning. I signed for it before I came home. Joshua sat down. He sat down on the kitchen stool, and he put his hands on the counter, and he looked at them. He did not look up at Cameron. East Riverside, he said. Like the old place. Like the old place. Cam, I am going to pack a bag tonight. I will come back for the rest later in the week. I will let you know when, so I am not here when you are here. You do not have to do that. I want to. The matchstick in Joshua's scent did not rise. It went instead very still. Cameron had never smelled it go still like that. Cam, Joshua said, please. I will see you, Cameron said. He went to the bedroom. He packed a bag. He took the clothes he wore most, his toothbrush, the charger for his phone, the book he had been reading. He took the framed photo from the bedside table, the one from their first apartment, the two of them on the fire escape with the cupcake between them. He carried the bag through the kitchen. Joshua was still sitting at the counter. He had not moved. Joshua. Yeah. I love you. I want you to know that I love you. I am not making a decision about that yet. Okay. I am not. Okay, Cam. Cameron pressed the elevator button. The doors opened. He stepped in. The doors closed. He did not look back through the glass. In the kitchen behind him, Joshua sat at the counter and pressed his palms flat against the marble and tried to slow his breathing. The matchstick in his scent did not rise and did not fall. It sat under the slate at a low burn. Something was wrong with him under his ribs. He did not know what to call it. He did not know yet that his next rut was already coming for him. Cameron did not sleep the first night. The apartment off East Riverside had one bedroom and a kitchen the size of a closet. Cameron sat on the edge of the mattress and waited for the panic to arrive. He had been carrying it for months under the assumption that the moment he was alone, it would land on him with both feet. It did not land. He sat there and listened to the building around him, and nothing was on fire. He lay down. He slept until noon and woke with a headache and the low sense of having put something down he had not realized he was carrying. He went to the roastery that afternoon. Hayes looked up and did not ask the question on his face. Cameron worked. His hands worked. By the end of the shift, he had not thought about Joshua for 2 whole hours, which had not been true in a long time. That night he ate a bowl of rice and a fried egg with hot sauce, the meal he had eaten every other day in his early 20s, and had stopped eating once Joshua started ordering groceries from the place that delivered. His scent surfaced in the room without him noticing it had been gone. The barley and the orange peel and the wool underneath. It was the first time in 2 years his scent had come up on its own at home. He noticed. He sat with it. He washed the dishes and went to bed. Joshua, on the other side of the city, did not sleep at all. He sat at the kitchen counter where Cameron had left him and watched the marble in front of him until his eyes stopped focusing on it. The matchstick in his scent had gone still in a way it had never gone still before. He sat there until the sun came up over the lake, and then he got up and made coffee and drank it standing. He went to work. He sat through a meeting. He answered questions. In the afternoon, his assistant, a woman named Priya who had worked for him for 2 years and was very good at her job, knocked on his open office door. Are you sick? No. You smell sick. I am not sick. Joshua. Priya, I am fine. Close the door. She closed the door. She did not believe him. He sent Cameron a message at the end of the day. I do not know how to do this. Please. The message sat on his phone with no answer. He watched it. He put the phone in his desk drawer. He drove home. He sat on the couch in the dark and waited. Cameron read the message. He set the phone face down. He made another bowl of rice with a fried egg on it, and he did not write back. He was not punishing Joshua. He was just very tired, and writing back would have meant pretending he knew what to say. The days went by like that. Cameron worked. He came home. He cooked small, simple things. He slept. His scent kept surfacing in the apartment without permission. Hayes worked beside him in the kind of quiet that did not need to be talked about. Joshua did not get steady. He got worse. The matchstick climbed. The slate underneath thinned. His colleagues started taking small steps back from him in the elevator without realizing they were doing it. Priya started leaving water on his desk every morning and not commenting on the fact that he drank it. The senior partner called Joshua into his office one afternoon and looked at him over his reading glasses. "Are you all right?" "Yes." "You smell like a man who is not all right." "I have something at home." "What?" "A personal thing. It is being handled." "Is your Omega all right?" Joshua had not been ready for the question. He sat in the chair across from the senior partner, and the matchstick climbed in spite of him, and the senior partner watched him feel it. "He is at a difficult moment," Joshua said. "We are at a difficult moment. Take a week." "I cannot take a week. The Whitmore Close is in 9 days." "Take a week. The Whitmore Close will hold." He took it. He did not tell Priya why. He drove home with the window down even though the morning was cold because the air in the car was too close and he could smell himself in it. And he did not want to. He had not gone into rut early since his first year of presentation. His cycle had been clockwork for a decade. Sitting in the parking garage under the condo with his hands on the steering wheel, he understood his cycle was no longer clockwork. He did the math in his head. The math said his rut was almost 2 weeks early. He went up. He locked the door. He took his suppressants, which had worked for him without a hiccup for 10 years, and he sat on the couch and waited for them to take effect. They did not take effect. He took a second dose, which he was not supposed to take, but which the medical literature said was permissible at the onset of an early cycle. He drank water. He turned the air conditioning down. He lay on the floor of the living room because the floor was cooler, and he watched the ceiling, and he thought about Cameron at the gas station parking lot on a hand-me-down hatchback at 17, saying yes. The second dose did not work. He could feel it under his ribs. The suppressants were not working because the problem was not chemical. He had spent 13 years running the steady part of himself through a bond mark on Cameron's neck, and Cameron was not here. He called Cameron. Voicemail. He did not leave a message. He held the phone to his chest and tried to think. He should call his mother. The thought came up clear and he pushed it away. He had not called his mother for anything other than birthdays in years. Calling her now would mean telling her something, and he did not know what to tell her. He called Cameron again. Voicemail. He set the phone on the floor next to his head. He closed his eyes. The matchstick went from a climb to a flare. The slate underneath was going thin. He could feel his body losing the part it was supposed to hold steady. He picked the phone up. He dialed his mother. She picked up on the second ring. Joshua. Mama. She had not heard that word out of his mouth since he was 19. She did not ask why. She listened to his breathing on the other end of the line. Then she said, "Where is Cameron?" "He left." Joshua. "He left, Mama. He left to East Riverside. I am at the condo. I am not. I am not all right. How many days of rut?" "It came early. I took 2 doses. They are not working. I am getting in the car. Mama, no, it is too far. I am getting in the car. I will be there. Drink water. Lie down. Do not go anywhere. Do you hear me? Do not leave the apartment. Mama, drink the water. I am hanging up. I love you." She hung up. Joshua lay on the floor and held the phone and tried not to think about the fact that his mother, who had not driven more than 30 miles from her hometown since he was a child, had just gotten in her car to drive to him. He drank the water. He tried to count his breath in for 4 and out for 6, the count Cameron had taught him at 20 during the first bad one. His count kept slipping. He tried Cameron one more time. Voicemail. He stopped trying not to. He said it out loud to the empty apartment. Please. His mother arrived late that night. She let herself in with the spare key Joshua had given her years ago for emergencies that had never come up. She found her son lying on the kitchen floor in his clothes from work, his face wet, his scent gland inflamed and red along the side of his neck. The apartment so saturated with the matchstick that her eyes watered when she walked through the door. She did not cry. She knelt beside her son and put her hand on his forehead and pulled it back. Joshua, look at me. He looked at her. His pupils were too big. I am calling Cameron. He will not answer. He will answer me. She took her phone out. She had Cameron's number from a holiday card list she had updated every year since they bonded. She used it now. Cameron picked up on the third ring. Mrs. Cameron, it is me. It is Joshua. He is on the kitchen floor. His rut came early. His suppressants are not working. I drove down. He needs. I am coming. Cameron, I am leaving right now. Tell him. I will. Mrs. Yes. Thank you for calling me. You are his husband. You will always be the person I call. Cameron hung up. He grabbed his keys off the nail by the door. He did not think about whether he should go. Joshua was on the floor, and that was all he needed to know. He did not run when he got off the elevator. He walked. He did not want to scare Joshua's mother. He let himself in with his own key. The condo hit him with the matchstick before the door was fully open, sharp enough that his eyes burned and his own scent surged in response without his permission. He stood in the foyer for a moment and let it pass. Joshua was on the floor. His mother was sitting on the floor with him, her hand on his forehead, a glass of water on the tile beside her. She looked up when Cameron walked in. She did not stand. He has been asking for you. Has he eaten? No. Has he slept? Maybe an hour. Okay. Cameron set his keys on the counter. He went into the bathroom and got a clean cloth and ran it under cold water and wrung it out. He came back to the kitchen and knelt down on the other side of Joshua, opposite his mother, and he pressed the cold cloth to the back of Joshua's neck where the scent gland sat inflamed. Joshua's whole body shuddered. His eyes opened. They were not focused. He looked at Cameron without seeming to see him at first, and then he saw him. Cameron. I am here. Cameron. I am here. Drink some water. Cameron. Do not. Drink it. His mother held the glass to Joshua's mouth. Joshua drank. Water ran down his chin. His mother wiped it with her sleeve, the way she had wiped his mouth when he was a child. Cameron watched her do it. He pressed the cloth harder against the back of Joshua's neck. Joshua, look at me. You need a specialist. I am calling one. Do not leave. I am calling from this room. I am not leaving. He took his phone out. He called the clinic the bond doctor at the university had given them years ago when they had bonded. The on-call number was still in his phone. A man picked up. Cameron explained evenly that his alpha husband was in an early rut, that his suppressants were not responding, that the bond had been under strain. The man on the phone asked questions. Cameron answered them. The man said he was sending a nurse to the address Cameron gave him. Cameron hung up. He looked at Joshua's mother. She nodded. I will stay with him while you change, she said. There are shirts of his in the closet. He went into the bedroom. The bed was unmade. Joshua's pillow still smelled like Joshua, the slate and the matchstick and a faint trace of the cologne he wore. Cameron stood for a moment with his hand on the pillow. He felt something move in his chest he had been holding flat for 2 weeks. He pulled one of Joshua's old undershirts out of the dresser and changed into it. The shirt was soft from 1,000 washings. It carried Joshua's smell in the seams. Cameron's own scent rose to meet it without his permission. The matchstick from down the hall answered. Cameron pressed the heel of his hand against his eye for a moment. Then he went back to the kitchen. The nurse came in under an hour. She was a beta in her 40s, blunt and competent. She put Joshua on an IV and gave him an injection the on-call doctor had cleared. Within 20 minutes, his breathing was even and his scent had stopped climbing. She said he was stable. She said he would need to be watched through the night. She said the rut would have to run its course, but she had brought a sedative that would let him sleep through the worst of it. She looked from Cameron to Joshua's mother and back to Cameron. "Which of you is staying?" "I am," Cameron said. His mother looked at him. "Both of us," Cameron said. "But you should sleep, Mrs." The drive was long. She did not argue. She kissed her son's forehead. She squeezed Cameron's wrist on her way past him to the guest room. The nurse helped Cameron get Joshua onto the couch because moving him to the bed was more than he could handle. The nurse left her card. She left. Cameron sat on the floor next to the couch. Joshua was lying on his side, eyes closed, scent climbing and falling in slow, even waves. The sedative was doing its job. He looked younger than he had looked in years. The line between his eyebrows, which had moved in a couple of years ago and never moved out, was gone. And Cameron looked at his sleeping husband and thought, "He is so tired. He has been so tired, and I did not see it." Late in the night, Joshua surfaced for a moment. His eyes opened. He looked at Cameron, who was sitting on the floor next to him with his back against the couch. "Cam, I am here. I am sorry." "I know." "No, you do not. I have been lying to everyone. I have been lying to everyone, including you. Especially you. I have been lying to my colleagues about you. I have been lying about where you went to school. I have been telling them you finished. I have been telling them you have a degree. I have been telling them for a year. I am so sorry, Cam. I am so sorry." Cameron did not move. He sat on the floor and held Joshua's eyes and did not let himself look away. "Why?" he said. His voice was very quiet. "Why did you do that, Joshua?" "Because I was embarrassed. Of me. Of me. I was embarrassed of me. I was embarrassed I was the kind of person who needed his husband to have a degree, and instead of fixing that part of myself, I lied about you. I lied to people who did not deserve to know anything about you. I lied and I came home and pushed you to make the lie true. I am so sorry, Cam. I cannot. I cannot. Joshua, please do not let me die alone in this kitchen." Cameron put his hand on Joshua's hair. He did not say he loved him. He did not say it would be all right. He did not say anything. He held his hand there until Joshua's eyes closed again, and the sedative pulled him back under, and the breathing went even. Cameron sat with his hand on his husband's hair. He did not cry. He did not feel like crying. He just felt tired in a way he had not let himself feel tired in years. He stayed until morning. When the light came up over the lake, gray and cold, Joshua was sleeping deeply, and his scent had settled close to baseline. The matchstick was still there but had stopped climbing. The slate was coming back underneath. He was going to be all right. Cameron knew it before he was sure of it because he had been reading this scent since they were kids. He went into the kitchen and made coffee. He went into Joshua's office and sat at the desk and found a pad of yellow legal paper and a pen. He wrote in his own hand on the top sheet, "I will not bond myself back into this marriage by accident. When you can stand up, find me. Do not bring flowers. Bring the apology I deserve." He left the note on the kitchen counter where Joshua would see it. He went into the guest room and woke Joshua's mother and told her her son would be all right. She nodded. She walked him to the door. "Cameron. Yes. He is wrong about the lying. He is going to need to fix that. But he is right about being scared of where he came from. I should have taught him different. I am the one who taught him to be scared of it." Cameron looked at her. The small set was in her mouth too. "You did your best. That is not always the same as enough. No. You go on. I will sit with him." He went. He drove back to East Riverside. He showered. He went to work. Hayes looked at his face and said, "Take the back." I have got the front. I am fine. Take the back, Cameron. He took the back. He sorted green coffee samples for hours and did not think about anything. He went home. He ate a bowl of rice. He slept a long time. Joshua's rut broke after a few days. His mother stayed through the worst of it. She made him soup. She made him eat the soup. She sat in the chair by the bed and read a paperback and did not say very much. When she did say things, she said them carefully, in short sentences with long pauses between them. On the third day, lucid and thin and quiet, Joshua sat at the kitchen counter and looked at the note Cameron had left. He read it 3 times. He put it down. He looked at his mother, who was standing at the sink rinsing a coffee mug. Mama. Yes. Did Papa ever tell you he loved you? She did not stop rinsing. She let the question sit in the room for a moment. Once, on our wedding day, loud enough for the priest to hear. After that, no. Did you mind? I minded for 30 years. Did you tell him? She turned the water off. She dried her hands on a dish towel. She leaned against the sink and looked at her son. I did not tell him. He could not have heard it. He was raised by men who would have called him soft for saying it. He learned not to say it before he learned to read. I told myself I did not need it. And then I needed it. I needed it every day for 30 years. You did not die. You are standing in my kitchen. Some part of me died. You can be a woman walking around inside a body for 30 years with one part of you dead and nobody can tell. That is what most people are doing. We just do not talk about it. He looked at his hands on the counter. They were not shaking anymore. Mama, I do not want to be Papa. Then do not be. How? Open your mouth. That is not enough. It is the part you have not been doing. You will figure out the rest. He sat with that. His mother poured him a glass of water without being asked. He drank it. The matchstick in his scent was very low. The slate was almost back to normal. I am going to cancel the Whitmore deal. What is the Whitmore deal? The clothes I have been working on for 8 months. The man I have been working with was at the dinner. He was the one who asked Cameron the question. If I keep working with him, I will keep being the person who said what I said. She nodded. Mama, I do not know if Cameron is going to come back. You do not get to know that yet. How long do I have? As long as it takes, or you do not come back from this. There is no middle. You come all the way back or you do not, and it is not Cameron's job to decide for you. It is your job. You decide. He watches. That is hard. Yes. I do not know how to do it. Open your mouth. Stop performing. Stop trying to handle him. He said that. He said I was trying to handle him. He has been telling you. You just have not been listening. He looked at her. Mama, why are you good at this? She gave him a tired half smile. I have had 30 years to think about what I should have said. I am giving it to you so you do not waste another 30 figuring it out. He stood up. He went over to his mother. He put his arms around her. She was small in his arms now, in a way she had not been when he was a child. He felt her shoulders shake once. She did not cry. He did not cry. They held each other in the kitchen of the condo for a long minute, and then she patted his back and stepped away. Go talk to your boss. He went. The senior partner did not argue when Joshua said he was off the Whitmore close. He looked at Joshua over his reading glasses without speaking for a while. Are you stepping back from the firm? I do not know yet. All right. I need a few weeks, less hours. I will keep my book. I will not chase new clients. Take what you need. Joshua. Yes. I have known you since you were a second-year associate. You looked like a man carrying something heavy then, and you have looked like that every day since. Sort it out. You are too good at this job to keep doing it broken. I will. Go home. He went home. He sat on the couch with his mother. She did not ask him questions. She fed him soup. She left 2 days later. Before she left, she stood at the door with her keys in her hand. I am proud of you. He did not know what to do with that. He had not heard it from her in his adult life. Mama, I should have said it before. I am saying it now. Go to him when you are ready. How will I know? You will know. She got in her car. She drove north. The weeks after that were slow. He did not contact Cameron. He had thought about it every day. Every time he imagined what he would say, his mouth was full of the wrong words. He had been writing letters in his head for years. He had never finished one. The letters in his head had all been letters trying to win Cameron back. Cameron did not want to be won. Cameron wanted to be apologized to. He started seeing a therapist. The therapist was a beta woman in her late 50s who had a small office in a converted house off South Lamar and who did not seem to like him very much in the first session, which Joshua found refreshing. She asked him questions he did not want to answer. He answered them anyway. He talked about his father. He talked about the feed mill. He talked about the night his father had come home and broken the kitchen radio because the news had said something he did not like, and how Joshua had been 6 years old and had understood, without being told, that he should not cry, because crying would have made it worse. He had not cried for years after that. He had cried again for the first time at 20, on Cameron's shoulder, on the back porch of the duplex after his first rut. The therapist asked him what he had been crying about. He had to think about it. "Relief," he said. "I was relieved someone had touched me without expecting something." She did not say anything. She wrote something down. He went back the next week. He cut his hours at work. He came home early every day. He cooked. He had not cooked since college. He made bad meals at first, and then less bad, and then meals that were edible. He ate them. He went to the gym. He slept long nights. The matchstick in his scent settled into something low, and the slate came back clean. He started writing the letter. He wrote it on his computer the first time. It was a letter from a man who was trying to win. He put it in the recycling. He wrote it again on his phone, on the bus home from therapy. Closer, still not right. He kept it. The third time, one morning, he sat at the kitchen counter with a pad of yellow legal paper and the same pen Cameron had used to write the note. He started writing. He did not stop until the page was full. He turned the page. He kept writing. He filled 3 pages. His handwriting got messier as he went, and he did not care. When he was done, he read it through once. He did not change anything. He put the pages in an envelope. He went to the roastery. It was a morning in the cooler months. Joshua wore a sweater Cameron had given him for his 30th birthday. An oatmeal-colored wool one with a small mended spot on the cuff he had never noticed Cameron had mended for him. He had not worn it in 2 years. He had found it in a drawer. He walked to the roastery because his car was in the shop and because he wanted to walk. He stopped at the door. Through the glass he could see Cameron behind the counter, pulling shots, talking to a customer. Cameron's hair was longer than it had been at the dinner. He was laughing at something the customer said. The orange peel in his scent was so present that Joshua could pick it up from the doorway through the glass. Cameron looked up. He saw Joshua at the door. His face did not change. He did not smile. He did not frown. He just looked. Joshua stood there and let himself be looked at. He had the envelope in his hand. He did not lift it. He waited. Cameron said something to the customer. He came around the counter. He walked to the door. He opened it. He stood in the doorway with his hand on the door. The bell above the door stopped ringing. Behind him, the roastery went quiet. "Joshua, I wrote you a letter." He held out the envelope. Cameron looked at it. Cameron looked at Joshua. Cameron took the envelope. "You walked here." "My car is in the shop." "In that sweater." "I found it in a drawer." "I mended that sweater." "I know. I mended it 3 years ago. You never noticed." "I know." Cameron looked at the envelope. He did not open it. "I am going to read this. In the back. You wait here. If I come back, we talk. If I do not come back in 20 minutes, you go home. All right? Do not go anywhere. I will be here." Cameron went into the back. Joshua stood on the sidewalk. He looked at his hands. Cameron read the letter in the small office at the back of the roastery, sitting at Hayes's desk with the door closed. He read it standing. Then he sat down. Then he read it again. The letter started. "I was embarrassed of you because I was embarrassed of where I came from, and I let those 2 things become the same thing in my head, and I have been punishing you for the part of me I was too cowardly to face." It went on for 3 pages. It named, line by line, the small cruelties Joshua had performed across 4 years and had been unable to stop performing. It named the lie about the degree. It named the night at the dinner. It named the 4 years of pushing Cameron toward school. It said, "You worked 3 jobs so I could finish school. I have never thanked you out loud. I am thanking you now. It is not enough. I know that. I am thanking you. Anyway." It said, "I do not know if you will come back. I do not get to know that yet. I am writing this letter because writing it is what I should have been doing for years, and I have only just learned how. I am not asking you to come back. I am asking you to read this. If you can, I would like to talk. If you cannot, I will not ask again." It said, "I love you. I have loved you since you pushed half a sandwich across a cafeteria table without saying anything. I am sorry I forgot what it felt like to be loved without anyone keeping score." Cameron sat in the back office after he finished reading. He did not cry. He folded the letter back into the envelope. He put the envelope in the drawer of Hayes's desk. He stood up. He went to the front. He opened the door. Joshua was on the sidewalk where he had been told to stand. His hands were in his pockets. He looked up when the bell rang. "Sit down," Cameron said. "Where?" "Come inside, sit down." Joshua came inside. He sat down at the small table by the window, the one the regulars sat at on weekday mornings, the one with the wobbly leg. Cameron came back behind the counter. He pulled 2 shots of espresso. He poured steamed milk into one of them and not into the other. He brought both cups to the table. He put the milk drink in front of Joshua because Joshua took milk, and Cameron had been making coffee for Joshua since they were kids and did not need to ask. He sat down across from him. "We are going to start over," Cameron said. "It is going to be slow. I want you to understand I am not making a decision about us today. I am making a decision to talk to you today. There is a difference. Do you understand the difference?" "Yes. I am going to keep my apartment off East Riverside. I am not moving back into the condo. Not yet. Maybe not at all. I do not know yet." "All right. I am a partner at the roastery now. That is not changing." "I know. You did not say that like you were embarrassed. I have been working on it. I can tell." He looked at Joshua over his coffee. "Tell me what you canceled at work." "The Whitmore Close. I took it off my book. The senior partner reassigned it. I am cutting my hours. I am working 4 days a week starting next month. I am keeping my book and not chasing. I am not going to be at that level forever. I am all right with that." "Why?" "Because the person I was trying to become at that level is a person you should not have to be married to." Cameron looked at his coffee. He looked at the table. He looked back at Joshua. "I am going to ask you something, and I want you to answer without performing. All right? Are you embarrassed of where you came from?" Joshua took his time. He did not answer fast. He did not deflect. "Yes, I have been. I am working on not being. I am not there yet. I am asking you to be patient with me while I figure out how to not be." "Okay. Cam. Yes. I am sorry." "For which part?" "For all of it. For the dinner. For the 4 years of pushing. For lying to my colleagues. For not introducing you as what you are. For making you carry being proud of yourself by yourself for 4 years while I was telling you you should be something else. For that night, when I did not reach for you in the kitchen. For pretending I had built my life by myself. I built it with you. I have built every single piece of my life with you, and I have been pretending I did not. I am sorry. I am so sorry." Cameron looked at him. He did not say it was all right. He did not say it was forgiven. He did not say anything. The roastery hummed around them. The espresso machine hissed somewhere behind the counter. "All right," Cameron said. "All right. That is the start. We are going to start there. You come here on Tuesdays at 4. I am going to be done with my shift. We are going to sit at this table and have coffee. We are going to talk. Not about us. About other things at first. About your day. About my day. About small things, until we remember how to do that. Then we will talk about bigger things, and we will do that for a long time. And then I will tell you what I want next. All right. Do not bring me flowers. I will not. Do not pay off things behind my back. Do not buy me coffee. Do not buy me anything. Just show up. All right. And Joshua, yes, I love you. I want you to know I love you. I have not stopped. I am not telling you that to make this easier. I am telling you because it is true, and you should hear it out loud. Joshua looked at his husband across the small wobbly table. He swallowed. He nodded. He did not trust himself to speak for a moment. Cam. Yeah. I love you. I have loved you since you pushed me half a sandwich. I should have been saying it out loud every day. You can start saying it now. I love you. Okay. They drank their coffee. The first conversation was small and stiff and a little awkward. Joshua asked about the new Ethiopian. Cameron told him. Cameron asked about the sweater. Joshua said a moth had gotten to it in the drawer. Cameron said he would mend it again. Tuesdays became a thing. He came every Tuesday at 4. Cameron was always done with his shift. They sat at the table by the window. They drank coffee. They talked at first about nothing, and then, slowly, about more. Joshua told Cameron about the therapist. Cameron told Joshua about the partnership paperwork. They did not talk about the condo. They did not talk about moving back in. They did not talk about the bond, although the bond was talking to itself across the table the whole time. After a month, Joshua brought a small pile of his own shirts to the table and asked Cameron to teach him how to mend a cuff. Cameron looked at the shirts. Cameron looked at Joshua. Cameron laughed. It was the first time Joshua had heard him laugh since the dinner. He had to look away for a second. You want me to teach you to mend? I want to learn. Why? Because I want to mend my own things. Because I have not done a thing for myself with my hands since I was 19, and I am tired of having other people do everything for me. Other people meaning me. You. All right. He taught him. Cameron threaded a needle and showed Joshua the stitch. Joshua fumbled it and pricked his finger and swore. Cameron laughed at him. Joshua laughed too. The orange peel in Cameron's scent bloomed warm across the table, and the matchstick in Joshua's scent answered low and clean. And the air between them, for the first time since the night at the dinner, smelled like the back room of a coffee shop in winter. It smelled like them. Cameron noticed. He did not say anything. He kept teaching the stitch. Months passed. Joshua sold the condo. He took less than he had paid for it because he wanted it gone. He moved into a one-bedroom in Northeast a few blocks from Cameron's place. He did not ask Cameron if he could. He just did it. The first time Cameron walked past the new building and saw Joshua's name on the buzzer, he stood on the sidewalk and laughed quietly to himself and did not say anything the next Tuesday. They began to walk after their Tuesday coffee. Around the block. Then, down to the river. The first time Cameron took Joshua's hand, it was on the bridge over Lady Bird Lake. He did not ask. He just reached over and put his hand in Joshua's. Joshua, who had been talking about something at work, stopped talking. He looked down at their hands. He did not look up for a second. Cam, do not make it a thing. I am not. You are making it a thing. I am not making it a thing. Joshua, I am happy. I know. Keep walking. They kept walking. In spring, Cameron asked Joshua to come to the apartment off East Riverside for dinner. It was the first time Joshua had been inside. Cameron made rice and a fried egg and put hot sauce on it and gave Joshua a fork. Joshua ate it standing at the small table by the window because there were only 2 chairs, and the second chair had a stack of green coffee samples on it. This is what you ate when we were broke. This is what I eat now. It is good. I know. Cam. Yes. Can I move in here? No. All right. Not yet. All right. Not because I do not love you, because I am not done living here yet. I know. I will tell you when. All right? He moved in late that summer. By then, Joshua had been working 4 days a week for long enough that the senior partner had stopped looking at him over his reading glasses and started looking at him straight on. Cameron had hired a second barista and trained her up and was leaving the roastery in her hands on Fridays so he could go up to Hayes's farm in the country and look at the new green coffee shipments. He and Joshua had been at the table for the better part of a year by then. The walks had started in the spring, the hand-holding had started on the bridge, and there was kissing now, slow and on purpose, the kind people did when they had decided to mean it. Joshua moved into the apartment off East Riverside with 1 box of clothes and 1 box of books and his mother's old kitchen pot, which had outlived its place in her duplex and which she had given him at Easter without ceremony. He hung the pot in Cameron's small kitchen. Cameron looked at the pot. Cameron looked at Joshua. "Your mother gave you that. At Easter. You did not tell me. I was saving it. For what? For when I could hang it in our kitchen." Cameron walked across the small kitchen and put his face in his husband's neck and breathed. The bond mark at the base of his skull, which had been settling slowly across a year, pulsed warm against Joshua's collarbone. The matchstick in Joshua's scent rose and folded under the slate, and the slate held. The orange peel and the barley rose in Cameron's scent, and the wool came in underneath. Their 2 scents braided in the air around them, and the 3rd scent rose, the one that was neither of them. It smelled like a coffee shop in winter. It smelled like their first apartment with the broken air conditioning. It smelled like the parking lot of the closed gas station and a cafeteria with 1 lunch line and a fire escape with a cupcake split in half. It smelled like them. A year later, on a slow weekend morning, Cameron made coffee in the small kitchen and brought 2 cups to the bed. Joshua, half awake, rolled toward him and took the cup and said, "Thank you. You are working today." "Half day. Then I am yours?" "It is our anniversary." "I know. I have it on the calendar." All these years bonded, most of which we got right. "Joshua, I am working on it. I am not all the way there. I am working." "I know." "Cam. Yeah. Us against the world." Cameron looked at him over the coffee. He looked at his husband, who had grown gray at the temples and who had a small scar on his neck from the inflammation a year ago. "Us against the world," Cameron said. "Always. Especially when we are rich." Joshua laughed. It was a real laugh. He had not laughed like that in a long time. Cameron pulled a small card from the pocket of the robe he was wearing. He set it on the duvet between them. It had been printed on a small letterpress at Hayes's farm the weekend before. The type was small and black and clean. It said, "We are still building this." Joshua read it twice. He held it carefully, like a thing he did not want to bend. He put it on the bedside table. He pulled his husband into his lap and put his face in his neck. The bond mark at the base of Cameron's skull warmed against him. The orange peel rose, and the matchstick rose to meet it, and the 3rd scent filled the room like the back of a coffee shop in winter, even though it was summer and the sun was already coming up hot through the window. Cameron held his husband in their bed, and they breathed each other in, and the day started. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the story, tell me your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you.